Good morning, guys. Hope you had an awesome Monday. Today is Tuesday and the markets are retracing back into specific support and resistance levels. One of those being the CME gap for Bitcoin. So the big question is, how are we going to use this to enter? What additional strategies can we use around a CME gap formation? Let me just show you the CME gap on the chart. And I'm going to be sharing some statistical data on that CME gap, as well how many times they get filled, how often it's going to be on the first trading day, yesterday being a banking holiday in France. It might be that it's filling today as it is. And in addition, how is some of the economical data, like the CPI figures that's going to be released a little bit later, could further impact our decision-making around buying the bloody dip on a CME. Because obviously, as simple as it sounds, just wait for the CME to get filled. In all essence, and just buy isn't as simple, because with leverage, we want to try and limit our exposure to drawdown as much as possible, because then we can borrow more money and have bigger positions. Then after all of this, I want to be looking at some of the alts. There's a few altcoins we all love and want to see whether we can use this information to time entries on some of those alts. Okay, so if all of this is interesting and you feel like you want to watch this and learn a little bit, you're more than welcome to hit the like. Please do hit the subscribe button and share the video with a friend. And then let's get into this. Okay, so let's have a look at the comments. Let's see. Hello, Mr. Stanku, Rene, as always. Mr. Impatient Monk. It's been a while. Yes, every day there's one that comes out of the cracks. Yesterday was, I can't remember. It's also been a while, but it's nice to have you back, my friend. Yeah, hope you enjoy the feed. Morning, Chris. Nice to see you here as well. There's about 85 people joining in live on all the various areas where I'm streaming towards, guys. So please do me a solid and share the content. Okay, let's get into this chart now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack this chart briefly, and then we're going to go through the CME. Okay, so for the last, let's say, starting from the 22nd of June, Bitcoin has, excuse me, let me just get this frog out of my throat. There we go. Okay, perks of being live. Okay, since the 22nd of June, we've basically been moving upwards. So the 4-hour trend is still bullish. So it's not like any of this information that we're going to be talking about regarding this is in any way to be seen as macro bearish, calling the top, whatever the case. It's too soon to tell. So it's still a bullish market, and the information is based for us to try and look for our next long. Okay. Now, let's start off with this. So if that is the case, the CME gap is a brilliant place for us to go and look for where that next opportunity could be. Now, you can see on the current structure as we got here on the CME, Bitcoin did make a higher high on the daily time frame. The RSI did not make a higher high. So we do have strong bearish divergence. We know the rule. This means that this area here, the first pivot, and that's the second pivot, first pivot on the RSI, second pivot, the first pivot becomes our support level. So pivot support for Bitcoin is living at $111,000, which means all of this retrace has to be seen as bullish. So back to the 4-hour time frame, all of this is bullish. You're just waiting to try and time the bottom. So statistically, we're looking at worst case scenario, maybe 112, 113. But even if it overshoots and goes lower, kind of moves out of the channel like we had there, that's still okay. We can still build the demand a little bit lower on. And the reason for that is because of this daily support level that lives for Bitcoin. Bitcoin cannot go back into the 110s, because then we're going to go and revisit the 100,000 again, because that was the range for Bitcoin. So we don't want to see that. So this is the CME gap that we want to get filled. So let's quickly have a look at what is a CME, and then we'll take it from there, especially for those that are new. So I did create a Medium article, links in the video description, so you can go and check that out, guys, at your own pace as well. But the important thing is the CME is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and it trades on Monday to Friday. So over the weekend, if Bitcoin moves, it leaves a gap in the market. So gaps that form over weekends are considered CME gaps. Sometimes price can open on daily gaps as well, but the CME gaps, the ones that we're looking for, is the weekend gaps, okay? Because it's not a 24/7 exchange. So that's very important. And now here's the little edge that we had to our advantage. We played it yesterday, waiting for this gap. And here we are. That gaps are significant because they tend to get filled. Now let's have a look at some statistics, okay? So the fill rates on this, and now there's various studies out there. You can use Grok, you can use ChatGPT, whatever AI, it's going to just speed it up to go get your own stats for yourself. But it estimates between 65% and 95% of CME gaps gets filled over time. Now, there are gaps that's never been filled. That's true. But statistically, that's what we do as traders. We look for the most probable play. And the interesting thing is that around 50% of gaps get filled on the first trading day. So the fact that the gap was created over the weekend and we are retracing back there now, this still being, well, it is Tuesday for intensive purposes. We're statistically within the highest probability where we're at right now. This is the right area for us, the right time for us to be. And then the expectation is that the market's going to move on from that area. Now, there's some more examples in there of gaps, but I think the important thing is, why do gaps get filled? I think that's a big important. So market efficiency. So when a CME reopens on a Monday, liquidity corrects and weaken all the weekend price disparities. Now, we can almost use a better term, a term that everybody loves, market makers. They're going to drive price back down because there will be unfilled orders in there on the CME side of things, okay? Now, trader behavior also plays a big role in the CME gaps because it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. So think about it. As prices moving around on the order book, if there's a lot of stops or a lot of buy orders, a lot of liquidity sitting in a specific area, price, if not engineered to go on higher, will go and look for that liquidity, because that's all what price actually does. Think of this thing as an unbiased composite man. That's Wyckoff terms for us. You against the composite man. And all that it's doing is it's going to where an order is. So in all fairness, if I've got one Bitcoin and I want to sell it when price gets to $200,000, but it's just one of me, is price going to go there? Realistically, no. But if everybody's Bitcoin is valued at that level, that is an assumption that that's fair and price is going to go there because that's where the liquidity, the big money is living at that rate. The same for when something's going down. So the self-fulfilling prophecy is that basically everybody is now waiting around this area. And that's why I'm saying that the institution influence can also help this. So now for today, institutions, they're going to be looking at the CPI figures, which is the consumer price index. It's just basically taking a basket of goods and seeing whether the cost of this is going higher and lower. And the Fed will use this to decide on whether they do need to cut the rates. Now, we know there's a lot of pressure, even from Trump saying, cut the bloody rates, you're an idiot. So there's a lot of pressure for doing that. So today's figures, when that comes out, and I think it's around, what time is it for me? It's around 2 p.m. So it's in the afternoon. It's about 4 hours time from now. Expect some volatility, okay? Meaning that when we're in this gap, we can probably have shakeouts. So trading on smaller time frames than the 4 hour, we could specifically see price or statistically see price wick into some crazy zones. As early traders, remember the market trades against three kinds of people: the scared ones, the greedy ones, and then the smart ones, the guys that knows this. So now what you're doing, you're putting your limit order there, you're putting your stop there, and then it goes and takes everybody out before it moves because the bus has to be empty. So the news for this afternoon is going to be something that you almost need to sit in your hands for, see how the market gets manipulated, how it gets pushed, and then from that point onwards, you can hit your entry. Okay, so that's another way why gaps get filled. Okay, and then obviously the last one, gaps act as key support and resistance levels. And normally you will find that there will be some confluence around this area. So a gap being filled at the top and it moves away, yeah, that is sufficient as a gap, just tagging the upper band of the gap. And even if this thing gets manipulated down to 111, the gap is filled, but then there's all this daily pivot support. So I doubt that this is going to be a case where it goes to the gap and then boom, drops down a little bit lower. Okay. Now, these kind of gaps, not all of them are weekend gaps. You see there, Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, Thursday, Friday. So be careful not to fall victim to daily gaps, because remember, it's not a 24/7 market. We're looking at weekend gaps, because as soon as I posted it, guys are saying, yes, but there's a gap there, there's a gap there, there's a gap there. Look for the weekend gaps. Okay. And that's basically the big takeaway. Now, we want to talk about strategies, buying the risk, buying the gap, getting it right. Now, this is where I'm going to move away from the article, and we're going to look at Bitcoin in itself. Now, there's one key thing that we want to look for. When price moves fast, there's normally an imbalance in the market, and we want to see hidden bullish divergence to enter the market at this area in order for continuation. Now, this means that this RSI needs to be lower than the demand at these key areas. So it needs to be lower than that. And you can see it's already trying to get there. So once that RSI is lower than that area, that would typically be a good area to start looking for your entry. Now, I'm going to just go to a clean screen so that we can have a look at this. There's the FIB levels drawn on it, the Elliott waves drawn on it. Let's take all of that noise away, and let's just identify hidden bullish divergence. So you do have demand that's sitting in there, and you've got a pivot that got created. So that is a good demand zone. Then there's another demand zone living in there because we had another pivot created. And typically, a correction is 3 waves. So you'll find that you'll have divergence on the first pivot. Then the market might move up a little bit. And then you will have divergence, wave-on-wave divergence on the lower pivot, which means this RSI could do this and then only give us our divergence. And at that stage, we can enter. So expect the market to not just necessarily just give you everything and then go and moon from that area. There could be a secondary test later on during the week. And tools that you can use for this. So typically, a FIB level that I would suggest is the long-term hidden divergence prediction, which is basically just looking at statistically where the first divergence occurs and the best buys. And to invalidate the divergence will always be it cannot make a lower low. It's as simple as that. So you can use this chart as your reference. You can just go download this image. Continuation divergence, price cannot make a lower low, but the RSI has to make a lower low. That's why you need to be sitting on your hands. Now, this takes me to the second part. Now, let's just quickly make sure everything has been discussed. Let me just make sure I've got everything that I wanted to share with you guys. There we go. I think I'm happy with this. So this leads us over to, if we're expecting some more volatility and maybe some more retracing, what will this do to our altcoins? And that's the second part of the stream. So before I do that, though, I'm just going to head over to the comments and see what you guys are on about. What's happening in your lives? Let me know. Morning, Vitali. Yes, you were the impatient monk from yesterday. Okay, so there it is. Hello, buddy. Paulo, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Let's quickly see Stanley. Good morning. You are my morning caffeine. Thanks, buddy. You can take a look at Game Virtual. I'll see if I can get that in. I typically don't chart new coins I haven't looked at before, but send me the ticker. In the end, if we do have time, I will definitely have a look at that. Mr. Max, I see you here as well. Nice to see you. Kilian, good morning of goeiemorgen to you. And Liesel as well, goeiemorgen. Right, guys. So everybody is just getting woken up still. Okay, so let's head over to alt. So let's start looking at Ethereum. Now, my problem with ETH was, I always said, I needed to stay above this area. So we're in the buy the dip zone. It's in the right area. I want Ethereum to get above 2,800 and stay above it. Because as soon as you zoom out, and you can even go to, let's go weekly time frame for that matter. If you zoom out, you can see the significance. Look at all those arrows around the $2,800, $3,000 range. There's a lot of negotiation, resistance, support, resistance, and then ends up, losing it. Then we're trying to make it support again. We lose it. Resistance, we get above it. We lose it. So we're just barely above it right now. So Ethereum, in order for this to remain bullish, I'm telling you now, your stops. Anything below this 2,800 level, it's going to scream, get the hell out for anybody that's looking at this chart. And a lot of selling pressure might enter. So you've got Ethereum almost painted into a corner. It has to go up from here, because if it doesn't, everything we said up till now and hope for alt season is gone. Okay. Now here's a different way of looking at alt season. Maybe let's just reload, make sure it's up to date with all the latest prices. Alt season, we want to see the top 100 altcoins on market cap perform better than Bitcoin. And at this stage, only 32 of them have done better than Bitcoin. Now, if you look at the altcoin total market cap, this gray line, you can see that it is moving to the upside. So there is growth on the alt side. But until the alt season meter, that amount of coins outperform Bitcoin, at least all the first 100 coins outperform Bitcoin over 90 days, we don't have an alt season, which means we can still get good deals on alts. So all this Bitcoin CME kerfuffle that might happen today could give us really good entries on some of the alts. Now, narratives that should be moving really well would be DeFi narratives. With the Genius Act being debated this week, if stable coins get regulated, it opens the door for DeFi on all those DeFi platforms. So there's going to be a lot of hype around that area. And then obviously that is just one stepping stone towards real world assets as well, getting mass adopted. So there's a lot of narratives that might become sexy overnight really fast. Okay, so keep an eye out on this during the run of the day. So we want to now buy something that is not looking on the chart at this stage as attractive. So we're looking to buy stuff that is here, because here it didn't look attractive. Now everybody wants it, that kind of thing. So that's what we're looking for. So ETH, it's got a hard job to do. Now we've already fallen below the pivot. We've opened one candle below it. So Ethereum is trying to get hidden bullish divergence. So we are probably going to dip maybe say to 9 thereabout. This whole entire area is your buy the dip zone. Okay, so it's going to move into that range. And once you have that hidden bullish divergence locked in, that would be the area to grab it. Understand whichever one of these pivots you use, price cannot go below that demand zone. Okay, easiest way to draw a demand zone is literally just to do this. You look for let me just get a box. Okay, you look for the close of the candle and the bottom of the wick if you're going up. And then obviously in the opposite direction, you go down. So that needs to hold. Demand needs to hold. So your invalidation 2753, thereabout. Now, don't be cheap. Don't try and put your stop right there, because nearest makes no difference. The market is organic. One exchange can go through this. If a lot of people put their stops there, hide your stop. Okay, make sure it is far out of the reach of price if it tests that specific demand zone. Okay, that's it. That's Ethereum. Now let's head over to some alts. Let's see what else we've got in the comments. Mr. Saul Goodman, I see you're back as well. My Magdag. Okay, nice to have you back as well. It's got a really cool name, Saul Goodman. I always say. Nice to see you back here, buddy. It's been a long time since you've commented. All right, let's finish up. I want to try and get these streams shorter. Okay, you guys know I'm looking at NEWT. Okay, so you all know this. I've shared it in the Discord. Now, if you want to support the content, guys, you can open your Primex BT account, you can open your Blowfin account, or even your Bybit account, whatever floats your boat. You can head over to the Discord. You can go to the navigation channel. You can click on the Get Partner role, and there you can say, hey, I've supported the content by opening one of these accounts. And what I will do is I will give you access to my buddy indicator as a thank you. Nothing in life is free. The buddy indicator is a brilliant tool. It helps, if in all essence, if you want to simplify this thing down, it gives you the sentiment, whether the market is bullish or bearish. It gives you potential setups that if the market is bullish, you trade the blue setups. If the market's bearish, you trade the orange setups. And this one is currently set to just show Strat 4 setups. Now, Strat 4 is hidden bullish divergence. Strat 1 is strong bullish divergence. Strat 2 is a demand zone test. And Strat 3 is a breakout. And then Strat 5 is a derivative of, or a hybrid version of hidden bullish divergence. All of this information can be found in the Discord as well. You go to the community section if you want to know how this indicator works, and then you go and look for how to use the tools, because it's a tool. Okay, there it is, buddy indicator in there. You can buy this indicator outright, $600, or you can support the content and get the indicator, but that's the only two ways you can have this indicator on your trading view. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So all the strategies then is there to help you. So it's a trade buddy. It's just a reminder of what I would be looking at that specific time. And what it does is it gives you a specific setup, just to kind of give you, it's almost like a ballpark it for me. You say this is a demand zone. Where would you enter if this is a demand zone? Typically, that's what I would wait for. Price to go to the 2 purple lines on NEWT, and then if it then goes in that area, then TP1, TP2, TP3. It's as simple as that. Okay. So NEWT is something I'm looking at now. The only big problem that I have with NEWT on this time frame is you can see it's still trending down. There's no higher high, no nothing. So I'm still patiently sitting on my hands. This is the beginning of accumulation. Now, how accumulation typically works is the market has a bearish trend. It breaks the trend. So you can see now it's range bound. It's now no longer making lower lows in the sense of there's one. It's now making double tops. But on closing price, it's still a lower low. It's range bound. Okay. Goes bottoms, another bottom. So it changed its character. So from that point onwards, we're starting your accumulation of, or the beginnings of a normal accumulation pattern. So this is phase A, you move into the range. Then from this point onwards, this is all phase B, building a cause. So that line actually needs to be phase B, building a cause. And then everything from that point onwards is still phase A. Now, as we're building a cause, the market will test the upper and the lower end of the range multiple times. And typically before it creates a shakeout, it will have a bull trap. So you'll find that a lot of these accumulation patterns, you'll have a massive wick to the middle of the range. And then from that point onwards, price will leave the bottom of the range. This is referred to as the ice, and this is referred to as the creek, okay? And it will leave the bottom of the range ever so quickly, get bought up, and then that signifies the end of phase B. You're building a cause. And this is phase C. And after phase C is over, which is a short phase, phase D. And this is the easy part to identify. Now you're looking for trend within range. That's simple. And as soon as you start seeing that trend within range, you can start to enter. There's typically, for the daring ones, there's the first entry. For the less daring ones, you enter at the midpoint of the range, which is referred to as your axis. Where's axis written? There we go. So that would be your second entry. And remember, Warren Buffett says this beautifully. You never test the depth of water with both feet. Okay. So you never, when you look at getting in on a new alt like this, you never just throw all your money and there, let's go. Because you're going to get wrecked. Okay. You wait for this thing to show that it's done. Finding a bottom, accumulation is done. Then you enter more. Then you enter more. And then typically thing will now respect trend. And it's when it's out of this range is when you can think about leveraging this thing as well. Okay, that's it. So that's the game plan for NEWT. Now, it's hypothetically very early at this stage. So all of this is meant for you to almost act as an education on how I look at this, but there's nothing to buy just yet. Okay. Just keep an eye on this one. Okay, next one. Hype. Let's see. Max says, buddy's working like a charm. I am happy, my friend. Okay, so hype. So I've given you a couple of case studies of coins that go through their first launch pump. Okay? And then typically around the 50% area. That's when they retrace and go retest. So I'm looking at hype. Hyperliquid is right up there. If you look at all the, where it's performing there, it's sitting in there. Right up there. But all of the gains was already locked in now. So it's slowing down. And we had bearish divergence, and now it's gone and made a higher high again. So hype is a buy the dip coin, anywhere between where it's at right now and 45. Because the outlier is that what if this thing first needs to go and run away before it comes back? What if this is all the retrace that it needed to do? We won't ever know. Statistically, you have to be open to all possibilities. So there's a nice buy the dip, but you can now say to yourself, okay, if Hype starts trading in here, I was wrong. It's a losing setup. Let's get the hell out, because then Hype's going to do what the others does. It's going to go test $12 again. Then the hype behind it is over. So have a look at this. This is getting in on something that is clearly showing you've got a lot of momentum and strength behind it. And if Bitcoin wants to go parabolic, let's say it does go parabolic and Ethereum breaks out and goes to $3,500, coin like this will shoot up quickly. And because it's still early days, guys, there's a lot of gains to be had. Okay. Right. Next one, OP. OP had a really nice bounce. Now, we know that this is the area where the original launch dump low occurred. Let's maybe just switch to a weekly time frame. That will just speed up the view. Okay, launch dump, created that demand. From that point onwards, OP had a nice run early in the beginnings of Bitcoin bull market. Nice run up to $4, and it's back down at 50 cents. We have not changed the character. It's still trending down. We've got strong bullish divergence. That was the original pivot. It's far below that. Okay. Then we had strong bullish divergence again, and now we're above it. So we're in the beginnings of a reversal of trend. Price made a lower low, but the RSI did the opposite. So OP is a good one, but this means that you've got a clear line drawn in the sand between 46, 59 is your buy the dip zone, and then all eyes on us trying to make a higher high. That doesn't mean that OP cannot do this and be range bound for a while, or just stay where it's at and be range bound for a while. You want it, though, just to stay above 59 cents, because then we can start stepping up. And the first area TP for me would be filling this gap. $1.70, $1.40, thereabout. I'll be conservative around this. But keep an eye on OP because it's doing all the steps right. Okay, might not get there tomorrow, but you want to buy cheap and you want to be patient with these, because then when they do break out, the big multipliers happen. Okay. Now, this is a really good coin that we can use to what OP shouldn't do. You don't want it to fall below that level, because then it goes into price discovery. But instead of a bull run, it's going to go into a bear run price discovery. So when it's below that level, that pivot that thou shalt not cross, you use this as your exit. Because if you're wrong, price will go and retest that at a later stage. But if the market is done, let's say we go 117, we go 110, and we fall back, we go to 100. This thing's going to go down lower still. And on alts, it's a lot of punishment. Another 70%, another 80%. You don't want to be you don't want to be around for that. We're here to exploit these coins for our own benefit. So don't marry them, because then you can't exploit them. Okay, that's it. Next coin we want to look at, AERO. Now, AERO's on this list as well. A lot of momentum. There it is. A lot of momentum. I like AERO. Okay, DeFi, hot topic. Okay, Genius Act. Good news, AERO's going to explode. So I'm going to go to the 4-hour time frame, and we're just going to remind ourselves of what is happening with AERO. You see now that it's already done all of its sideways grounding. It's tested the previous areas of support, and it moved up, and it bounced on support. So it's doing everything right, and it's slowly but surely moving up. And yesterday I explained to you guys that this could be a good area for AERO for continuation. So there you have it. It's in a nice support zone at this stage. So I've got a lot of drawings on this. Let's maybe just move this back to daily time frame. Just want to clean this up ever so slightly. Now, guys, remember all of this information I share in the Discord. You go to the community section, click on discussion. That's where we talk about this. And everything gets shared and posted in there. And then there's threads on the altcoins. MOG coin. I mean, I gave the buy at these lows, gave the TP there, and the latest MOG chart. There you go. Look at where it went. There's a really good alpha being shared there. Okay. Coins I'm looking at now, AVAX. Okay. I'm looking at this one. There's a massive disparity between the amount of longs and shorts. So if you look at where AVAX is on this list, where is it hiding? Now, because I'm in a hurry, I'm probably going to overlook it 20 times. There it is. All of the market makers, there's so much shorts in the market versus the amount of longs in the market. So if there's going to be a squeeze, who's going to get squeezed? Because all of these shorts are promises to buy if the market goes up. It just needs a little bit of push. Have all these supply zones taken out. So this thing could accelerate to 35 real quick. Okay. So I bought yesterday. I bought some AVAX yesterday. Okay. Sold Monk. Thank you, Monk. You did your job. Now, Mog. Now I'm looking for AVAX. All of that is shared in the Discord as well. And remember, you can join the Lifetime Members group as well. I'm going to be trading live in there after the stream. Okay, so there you have it. I haven't looked at that, to be honest with you. What we can do is I'll go chart it out and put it in the Discord. There's always a new project, a new next thing. It's always the case. So and then let me go do some research on it, and then I can get back to you on that. All right. Sui is an example of what I want to see with Ethereum. We've had price hold below support, then it created strong bearish divergence. Okay. Remember now, if I do this and I switch on the buddy indicator and we look at that same area there, see there the buddy is giving you all the tickers, strong bearish divergence. I can rewind this, then it will even show you the setups. Okay. Go short between the purple line and. Okay, so buddy is basically seeing what I'm seeing. It's just built into the indicator. Okay. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. There we go. Yes. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. Just like SUI, Ethereum needs to move fast. We can't have buy the dips to where we want to see the dip the whole time. That kind of price action doesn't make sense. People need to start chasing it. People are chasing SUI. We're looking, this is DeFi. We need to look for, or no, it's not DeFi, but it's a layer 1. And we need to see the same now for Ethereum. And that's basically what I think I need to close off on. Ethereum needs to not do exactly just that on this higher time frame. It needs to start running away. I want to see ETH in the 3,000, 4,000s. Then our alt season will start. Okay. Not blind to any of the divergences and stuff there, but remember, it's a bullish signal until we fall below those critical levels. There you have it. Okay. Thanks so much for taking the time, guys. I don't see any other thing. Liam, you're here as well. Hi, buddy. Nice to have you here. I think we're going to call a stream. Say thanks so much. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I typically just trade on Wednesdays. So if you want to, you can just head over to the Discord and trade with me publicly Wednesday. And for the rest of you guys, I saw this. Just a little info to kind of support the Ethereum narrative, okay? BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF will soon get approved for staking, okay? So it's just going to bring more DeFi. Remember, the Genius Act's approval gets there, then staking gets approved, then institutions are going to start using these DeFi platforms. Those coins are going to soar, okay? Keep an eye on those things, okay? That's it. Thanks so much, guys. You have a lovely day. Links to everything's in the video description. You can click on the link tree also in the profile. There's the Medium page. There's my Discord server. There's a link to the buddy indicator and additional links there how to get to it, the trend scope indicator, and some discount links if you want to sign up on any of these things, trading tools that you might use. Okay, that's it. Thanks so much, guys. Have a lovely day. See you again on Thursday. Cheers.